Hey, hey, hey. What's going on? Today we have today's wants to watch episode is live. So that's a new thing, that's a big thing, kind of to make up for, for the episodes I missed. The episode that I missed last week. So this is just to make up for that. And I hope you guys do. Except that I feel like the music is a little bit too high. Just want it to be a little background something going on. I don't want it to be too high. I think it's fine now. All right. As I said, we're going to be doing live analysis today on the give me a second here. All right. We're good. So I had to make sure everything was at the right place. All right, I'm gonna try and go through this pretty quickly because I don't want to spend way too long here. We just wanna be here, and there and thereabouts. But today we're going to be focusing on Chelsea's. We're going to be focusing on Chelsea's defender, Josh Achampong. I think he's got that potential to make it up there. I do think so. He's got that. He looks like a really good player. I've watched him a little bit, nothing crazy, nothing too, extreme, but I have watched him a little bit, and I think he's definitely going to be up there in the future. We're gonna have a look at his stats on FB Ref. That is where I do most of my analysis. You guys are basically just going to see my process of how I make wants to watch videos, but it's gonna be live this time around. I hope you guys are doing good in chat. Appreciate all the support. I mean, the support on the channel has been crazy, actually. Before we do get into anything, the support on the channel has been insane, and I do appreciate it. Although I do think we're probably not gonna hit that 1,000 mark by the end of the year, I still do appreciate all the support on the channel. Definitely. Evander Fury is in chat. First time live stream, I think, for Evander Fury. I've seen you a couple of times on the channel. I think this is the first time I've seen you live. This is the first time I am seeing you live on a live stream. It's mostly FGH, who I haven't seen in chat. I'm sure he's not too far away, FGH. But yeah. First time I'm seeing Evander in chat. Evander? Is it Evander or Evander? Don't know. All right. Let's get into the thick of things here. So today we're going to be looking at Josh Achampong at Chelsea, a center back that I think scored his first goal yesterday. I believe he scored his first goal yesterday for Chelsea in the Champions League. So he's got a bright future ahead of him, and he looks to be a good center back. I mean, looking at his stats on FotMob, as I said, we'll be going to FB Ref today. So let's get that on. Let's get FB Ref on as well. We'll be comparing him to, center backs in the league. I mean, who should we compare him with? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section on the live chat. Who you guys think we should be comparing Josh Achampong to? Because he's got a lot of options in the Premier League to compare him with. And we could go Europe as well. Some European center backs, if you guys think there are some European center backs that are doing better than him, let me know in the chat. But I think, yeah, he's had a good season for Chelsea. And okay, no, his first goal wasn't in the Champions League. It was against Nottingham Forest, which was a while ago, actually. So he didn't play in the Champions League. He didn't play against Tottenham. He played full 90 minutes against Wolves, played against Sunderland, played 40 minutes against Ajax, played 18 minutes against Nottingham Forest, where he got the goal. And he's been playing under 21s football for England. Actually, I haven't been keeping up with the FIFA U17 World Cup. I probably should, because I'm sure there's probably some some hidden gem in that competition that is absolutely tearing things up. I'm sure if you guys have been watching or have been tuning into the FIFA U17 World Cup, you can let me know. You can let me know in the chat if there's some hidden gems in the U17 World Cup that are doing well. But yeah, Club World Cup he didn't play. last season. He actually played some games last season. 90 minutes against Nottingham Forest. This is U21 football. 36 minutes against Brighton. He got a little bit of game time last season, actually. I think this is U21 football as well. No, Conference League football. So he played in Conference. I mean, he was doing well in the Conference League. Probably why he's getting more game time this season. So FotMob is very not, detailed in terms of statistics and stuff like that. So we're going to be looking at Josh. Jesus Christ, it is Josh. Forgot how to spell his name here. Josh Achampong at Chelsea. Again, let me know who you guys want me to compare him to in FB Ref. I'm seeing Evander saying De Ligt. I was also thinking De Ligt, maybe Van de Ven as well. I think Van de Ven has had a decent season. FGH is in the chat. He's saying Van Dijk. Van Dijk is also not bad. I think Van Dijk is good. Let's get at least 4 quality center backs this season. And then I think Gabriel is a no-brainer as well. I think Gabriel is definitely a no-brainer because I think he is the best center back in the league, probably in the world at the moment. So Gabriel is definitely a no-brainer. Obviously, he's not going to be better than Gabriel, but it would be nice to see where he is in terms of how close he is to someone like a Gabriel. Obviously, as I said, he's not going to be on that level, but it would be interesting to see how close he is to someone like a Gabriel in that sense. Caleb Bain in chat. We've got a lot of interesting people in chat today. Vanda is in chat. FGH is in chat. Caleb Bain is in chat. Liking all the communication, the discussions. Loving it. All right, so we will be comparing Achampong to 3 players in the Premier League and seeing how his stats add up. But seeing as he hasn't played as much matches this season, he has played 5 matches in the Prem for Chelsea. Let's zoom in a little bit so that you guys don't have to squint your eyes. Yeah. So he has played 5 games in the Premier League for Chelsea. 349 minutes played, 52 minutes played in the Champions League. So he hasn't played as much games as the usual suspect. The Van de Ven, Matthias de Ligt, Van Dijk, Gabriel and stuff like that. But I do think per 90 he could be putting up those stats. So we've got Van de Ven here. Let's take John Foyt out, Hermoso out. So let's go Matthias de Ligt. Let's just type de Ligt because his first name is very difficult to spell. And then we're gonna go 2025 season. It's Manchester 25-26 season. And then Virgil van Dijk. And then we will do the 2025 season. I think Virgil van Dijk might be, where's 2025? Yeah, it might be difficult with Van Dijk because he hasn't had the best season. And then I said Gabriel as well. I think Gabriel definitely, as I said, he's going to be up there. He's going to be the best out of the, all the options here because he's having a tremendous season. And I don't think, in any way, shape or form is Achampong going to be on that level of Virgil van Dijk. But I think it will be interesting to see how close he is to, not Virgil van Dijk, close to he is to Gabriel. If you're tuning into the stream and this is your first time on the channel and you enjoy what you see, you like the content that you see, you want to see more of this type of content, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that like button as well to let me know that you guys do enjoy the content. Now, let's have a look at standard stats per 90. Standard stats per 90. Obviously, we're going to be looking at passing. Goal shots creation doesn't really matter for a center back. Defensive actions, possessions, and I think playing time doesn't really matter. So standard stats per 90, Joshua Achampong is, what are we really gonna see here? To be honest, nothing really much. Nothing really useful in the standard stats per 90 for Josh. So what we're gonna do here is we're going to go all the way down to defensive actions. This is what we want to be seeing. So we're going to toggle stats per 90 because, as I said, he hasn't played a lot of matches as compared to his, the players you're comparing him to. So definitely he's going to, not be on the level of some of these players. I'm trying to get my words out. And I think maybe we'll watch some videos as well, just to whet the appetite to see what he's actually like. Because I haven't really watched Josh Achampong. I've watched a little bit of his games, and I think this is also, this is the fun of doing ones to watch. We haven't really watched some of these players. We're just trying to predict and guess if they've got that potential to make it to the next, to the next stage in terms of, being a really, really good player in the future. Evander Fury with a question. I think it's Fury. It's not Fury. I'm just gonna call you Evander. Whether it's Fury or Fury, it's up to you. What stands out the most about a champion to you guys? Is it his confidence, pace, or decision making for his age? I think it's his decision making. As I said, I haven't watched a lot of Josh, but the little I've watched of him, I've seen him to make some really, really good decisions, which I can't really say much about when it comes to Real Madrid defenders, because I think Dean Houghton has been making some horrible decisions for his age, and I think he's around the same age as well. So I mean, we can add Dean Houghton as well, but I wanted us to focus on Premier League teams. So let's get your questions in the chat if you have some questions about Josh Achampong, if you want to ask some questions in general as well. I'm down to answer any questions, but let me know if you've got some questions, and then I'll try my best to provide the answers to them. So defensive actions per 90 for Josh Achampong this season per 90. So per 90 he's making 0.51 tackles. 0.51 tackles. So this is just tackles in general, numbers of tackles, and the numbers of tackles. I mean, numbers of tackles played and numbers of tackles won. It's the same thing for Josh. So he's making 0.51 tackles per 90, and he's won all 0.51. I mean, that's not really the best stats out there, but so he's more of a, I think from what I'm seeing here, he's more of a clean, composure type defender, not really going into tackles. Maybe he's got good positioning as well. We'll see that as the stats do go down. But to making 0.51 and to be winning 0.51 is very, it's interesting. So his tackle stats are going to be pretty balanced as well. Yeah, 50%, right? He's going to be pretty balanced, his tackling numbers. And it's very close to Virgil van Dijk. As I said, Virgil van Dijk hasn't really been, he hasn't been up there in terms of numbers. But it's interesting to see Matthijs de Ligt is up. He is, leading the stats in terms of tackles made and tackles won per 90. He's literally up there. He's got 1.60 tackles made per 90, Matthijs de Ligt, and 1.30 tackles won per 90. That's insane. That's insane. He's winning every single tackle he's going into, Matthijs de Ligt. I think he's one of those defenders as well that's very, very underrated, but I think maybe that's a discussion for another video. We're here to talk about Josh Achampong, and I think from what I'm seeing here, he looks to be a pretty good defender. If he had more game time and he was, involving himself in more tackles, I think he'd be winning more. Because to have 0.51 tackles played and 0.51 tackles won, it's impressive. It is. Mickey van der Ven, I mean, out of everyone here, he's leading, he's not second, he is fourth. So second bottom to Van Dijk. I think Van Dijk is not leading in anything here. Yeah, so Josh Achampong is bottom for tackles won between Matthijs de Ligt, Mickey van der Ven, Virgil van Dijk, and Gabriel. But he's second bottom to Virgil van Dijk in tackles won, which is actually, it's not bad for a player that hasn't played a lot of games this season. Minutes played divided by 90 for Josh is not even up to 5. And we've got players like Matthijs de Ligt, Virgil van Dijk, Gabriel, all in the 10s, and Van der Ven is 9. So to be putting up these numbers when you haven't even gotten to half of what these, starters are putting up, these 4 starters are putting up is a little bit impressive. So I'm interested to see. I think he's got that potential. He's just 19 as well, and it's very difficult to bench the players that Chelsea do have. To be honest, you know what? You know what I'm thinking now? Let's put a Chelsea player in there. Who's Chelsea's best player? Who's Chelsea's best defender this season? I'd like to know who's Chelsea's. I think Tosin Colwill. I think Levi Colwill might be Chelsea's best defender this season. Although I don't think he's played a lot this season as well because of injuries. 2025 Chelsea, he doesn't even have stats for this season. This is okay. I don't think he's got. All right, I think Chalobah has played a lot more this season. Not that. Chalobah has played a lot more this season, right? I think Chelsea's best defenders this season is between Chalobah and Tosin. Let me know if I'm right in the comments in the chats. I feel like it's between Tosin and Chalobah this season for Chelsea. Yeah, Matis Stardy is 9. Yeah, he's closer to the rest of them. So I think we'll use Chalobah as a measuring stick for Josh, because I think comparing him to people who have actually played, it will be a little bit unfair. So yeah, as I was saying, Josh is very difficult for Josh to bench someone like Trevor Chalobah, because look at the numbers Chalobah is putting up. He's literally second to the list. As I've included Chalobah into this list, he's literally gone second. So De Ligt was topping the charts in this list, and I brought Chalobah in, and Chalobah is second. So this to tell you that Josh is going to be difficult for Josh to start. But I think, as I said earlier, if he can keep up these numbers, if he can keep putting up these numbers, I think he's got that potential to go up there. I think he's got that. He's not leading in anything, as compared to Jordi Mokio, who was playing in Ajax, which we compared to Elliot Anderson, Wharton. Who else did we compare Mokio to? We compared him to a lot of good midfielders as well. And he was literally, coming up second and third in most of those comparisons. But I think Josh Achampong is not going to be able to get that because he hasn't had a lot of game time this season. So I think defensive actions, he's at the bottom, but the numbers he has to have 100% tackle success rate is very, it's very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. He's actually leading in blocks. So he's leading in blocks made. He's leading in blocks made by 1.54. Second is Gabriel with 1.5, understandable. Third is Van Dijk. No, third is Matthias de Ligt. No, third is Van Dijk with 1.2. And then fourth is Matthias de Ligt with 1.1. And then Chalobah comes in with 0. Mick van de Ven. So Chalobah is not the blocker in this Chelsea team. So Achampong has, he does have something in his belt here. Under his belt here, he's leading in blocks and interceptions. Actually, I might have underestimated him here. He's leading in blocks and interceptions with significantly. He's got significantly less game time than everyone on this list, including his Chelsea teammate. So Achampong is leading in blocks with 1.54. Second only to Gabriel with 1.5. So if Gabriel has 1.5 blocks and Achampong is leading with 1.54, he's very close to Gabriel in terms of blocks. So that is impressive. Because the defensive work Gabriel is putting in this season, it's good. So to be second only to be leading in blocks, and the second you have, in that list is Gabriel, very impressive. 1.54 blocks for Achampong, and the interception, he's leading massively. He's got a lot of interceptions, and this doesn't work based on percentage, so it's not gonna go down. It's not going to go down with the number of games you played, like maybe tackle percentage. If it was having maybe a 70% tackle percentage on dribblers, it probably goes down if he plays more games. But with interceptions, it's not going to go down. So to have a 1.79, almost a 2.0 interception number against players like Chalobah, Gabriel, Van Dijk, De Ligt, Van de Ven, I mean, none of these players are even coming close to what Achampong is doing in terms of interceptions. So again, another feather in his cap, another good feather in his cap. So tackles and so numbers of players tackled plus numbers of interceptions. He's second only to. Okay, he's not second only to. He's third to Matthijs de Ligt at first, and Trevor Chalobah at second in tackles, number of players tackles, and number of interceptions made. He's got 2.31. De Ligt has had 2.70, and Chalobah has got 2.53. So again, he's making some really, really good. He's putting up some really, really good numbers. Really, really, really good numbers. Really, really good numbers. I think he's just got to, get his tackles numbers up, and I think he's going to be really, really good. Again, he doesn't have, look at his game time. 3.9, Van de Ven is 9.9, the lowest here is 8.3. So he's not even half, literally not even half the lowest game time here per 90 in these players we're being compared to. So to be leading on blocks, to be leading on interceptions, it's impressive. It really, really is. It really, really is impressive. Now let's go to possession. Here we can see, I would like to see passes as well. Okay, let's see passes. Let's see how accurate he is with his passes. I know passes is a little bit, some type of way, because that can change per the number of games you're going to play. But I think we can have a fair idea because we're going to be doing per 90. And I think per 90 is going to tell a different story here. All right. So passes completed per 90. Josh is. So let's go by leading. Who is leading passes completed? Josh is second. So let's do everything based on. Okay, no, we can't do everything. So we'll go one by one. So passes completed per 90. Josh is second. Josh is second with passes completed. 70 passes completed per 90. I want to see progressive. I want to see if they're progressive passes. Progressive pass. So it is basically progressive distance covered per pass. So with that, Josh is at the bottom. Okay, so he's not making a lot of progressive passes. So yeah, it did look exciting at first, but it's not a lot of progressive passes. But it is still, it is still impressive nonetheless to be able to complete 70 passes per 90 as a center back. Regardless if some of them are going to the goalkeeper. And then pass completion rate of 92%. He's up there. He's leading the list in terms of pass completion rate. So 70 passes made per 90, and then 92% pass completion rate, which is good. But progressive distance is where he does go down. He is second to bottom only to Matthijs de Ligt, 2.67. He's not really close to Virgil van Dijk, who's 5.44. He is one of the best progressive passers in the game, Virgil van Dijk. So if you want to be up there, you definitely want to be closer to Virgil van Dijk than you are to Matthijs de Ligt. But again, he is making those passes. Maybe because he is a young player, he's trying to be less risky and, more composed on the ball. In terms of long balls, which is long passes completed, Virgil van Dijk, as I said, probably the best progressive passer in the league. So if you want to be up there known as a progressive passer, you definitely want to be, closer to Van Dijk than you are to Matthijs de Ligt, which he is bottom of the table for this. So he's not the most progressive passer when it comes to that, Josh Achampong. 1.54, 2.8, he's not close. He's nowhere close. So he's still got a lot of game to improve on. So his passing is not his best attribute. His passing is not his best attribute at all. And yeah, it's definitely something he's going to have to work on. But I think as a defender, your basics has to be the defending, which he seems to have under his belt. He just needs more game time to show that he can do it more consistently, because I think defensively he's got that under his belt, Josh Achampong. So passing is definitely, I think passing is something that is going to be improving as you go on. I don't think Virgil van Dijk was as good as a passer as he is now when he started. I don't think he was that good when he started. So definitely as the season goes or as his career goes, he is just 19, by the way. So he's definitely going to be a more progressive passer. And I think he's going to be a good player for Chelsea. I really do think so. Now, to wrap things up on the statistics end, because as I said, I do not want this stream to be too long. We're already approaching the 30 minutes mark here. Sorry about that. So to just wrap things up with okay, this is more dribbling, but to be honest, I think that's gonna be it. So the long and short of the analysis that we've done on Josh Achampong today is that he is a defensive-minded defender. He's not that defender that's going to be making too many, attacking runs into the box. He's not that defender that's going to be making that progressive passes. But when it comes to defensively, blocking, interceptions, tackling, he's definitely got his number up there. And I think, with more game time, because as I said, Trevor Chalobah, who is probably the player that starts over him, he's got better numbers in terms of passing, in terms of defending, as compared to Josh Achampong. So he's got competition in his place when it comes to the Chelsea team. So definitely, I think he's a player that, if he gets that game time, he's definitely going to improve, because he's leading in terms of blocks, in terms of interceptions. When you're comparing him to players like Gabriel, Mickey van der Ven, De Ligt, Van Dijk, these are players that are starting every single game. And as I said, his numbers in terms of 90 minutes played, he's not even halfway the player that's replacing him in this team. Trevor Chalobah has 8.3 and he doesn't even have 4. So he's definitely going to need more game time to prove what he can do and show what he can do. But I think with those game times and with that, inclusion into that Chelsea team and opportunity to show what he can really do, I think he's definitely going to be a player that in the next probably 2 years, he's going to be a starter for Chelsea and going to be a player that teams are going to look at and think, what, he's someone that we should probably look to bring into our team. I was going to look at, highlights and, stuff like that from him, but I think, is that really necessary? It's better watching him in a full 90 minutes rather than highlights, because highlights are going to show you what you want to see. Highlights are going to show you if he's a good player. Highlights are going to show you only his good stuff. You're not going to see his errors and the mistakes that he makes on the field. But I guess maybe we can watch some videos to see how he actually plays. But I think that's also something you can do on yourself, because I want this Wants to Watch episodes to be episodes where viewers watch, they tune in, they see a player they haven't really heard of before, a player that they haven't really focused on before, and then the next time they see that player playing, they're more like focused on what he's doing because they've watched a Wants to Watch episode. That's what I kind of want this episode to be, this series to be about. I want it to be an opportunity where people can watch, football fans can watch an episode and be like, I haven't seen much of this player before. I probably should take time out of my day to go watch this player. Or when, the next time I have an opportunity to watch this team that has this player in it, I'll probably watch more of the player. And I think it was the same thing with Nico Paz at Como. When I did the Wants to Watch episode on Nico Paz, anytime I watch Como now, Nico Paz is the player I look out for, because I'm now like, okay, this guy looks really good and he's got that potential to make it to the next level. So he's definitely a player I want to be watching. So that's what I want the Wants to Watch episodes to be. I don't really want it to be like we're going to be watching highlights, although I do include highlights in videos. I don't want that to be the main focus. So thank you guys for tuning in. We have reached the 30 minutes mark. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate all the comments. You guys have been amazing in chat. And yeah, I think this has been interesting. Maybe we'll do more live analysis videos on Wants to Watch, But yeah, I've really enjoyed this, and this was to make up for not having an episode last week. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next watch along the next live stream or the next match reaction, which is coming very, very soon. Stay safe out there. I'll catch you guys in the next one.